Hi guys, today you're going to do a bit of rounding revision. First we're going to look at rounding to decimal places, and then we're going to look at significant figures. So here the first one, we can see we're rounding 27.085 to 2 decimal places. Well, 0 is the first decimal place and 8 is the second decimal place. So that's the number that we're rounding. The decider is a 5. That means the 8 is going to round up to a 9. Nothing needs to happen to the rest of the number. So it's 27.09. Next one is 0.846 to 1 decimal place. Well, on this one, the first decimal place is the 8. The decider is the 4. Don't need to worry about any of the other numbers. The decider is a 4, that means the 8 is going to stay the same. This all gets rounded off, and nothing needs to happen to the 0. So to 1 decimal place, it's 0.8. And I've got a couple more decimal place ones. Here we've got round 2.1097 to 2 decimal places. Well, the first decimal place is the 1. The second decimal place is the 0, so that's the number that I'm rounding. The decider is the 9. As the decider is a 9, my number's going to round up, so my 0 is going to round up to a 1. This bit's going to get rounded off. Nothing needs to happen to this bit, so it's 2.11. The last decimal place one we're going to look at together, 17.9803 to 1 decimal place. Slightly tricky, this one. The first decimal place is the 9. The decider is the 8. Now, because the decider is more than 5, the 9 has to go up. But the 9 on its own can't go up. As a digit on its own, it can't go up. So it has to knock the next digit to the left up. So instead of 7, 9, I'm going to have 8, 0. These numbers still get rounded off. This one doesn't need to change. 18.0. Really important that I have that 0 there to show that it's 1 decimal place, even though that's worth the same amount as just 18 on its own. Because I was told to do 1 decimal place, I have to write that 0 in there. That's decimal places. Now we're going to have a look at a few significant figure examples. This first one says round 467 to 1 significant figure. Well, the first significant figure in 467 is the 4. The decider, therefore, must be the 6. That means the 4 is going to have to round up because the decider is 5 or more. So the 4 is going to become a 5, and the 6 and the 7 is going to round off to 0. So 467 to 1 significant figure is 500. Next, we're going to have a look at rounding 28.704 to 2 significant figures. Well, the first significant figure is the 2. The second significant figure is the 8. So that is the number we're rounding. The decider has got to be the next one on, which is the 7. 7 again means the number I'm rounding rounds up. So it's going to come to a 9. All this is going to get rounded off. Leave the 2 in. So it's 29 to 2 significant figures. Next up, maybe pause the video at this point and have a go at this one, see if you can do it. We're going to round 1.7328 to 3 significant figures. Well, the 1 is the first significant figure. The 7 is the second significant figure. The 3 is the third significant figure, so that's the number that I'm rounding. The next one on is the 2, the decider is the 2. That means that my number is going to stay the same because it's less than 5. It's not going to round up, so it's going to stay as a 3. These numbers get rounded off, and these numbers don't need to change. 1.73. Last couple then, slightly trickier ones. You get some of these on the sheet. 0.0873 to 1 significant figure. This 0 here isn't a significant figure. It's just a placeholder, as is this 0 here. So the first significant figure is the 8. That's the first significant figure. These figures aren't significant. The decider is the 7. That means that the 8 is going to round up to a 9. I still need to write these figures even though they're not significant because they show what the value of the 9 is. Otherwise that 9 its own might look like 9 units. It's not, it's 900th, so I have to write these two figures that aren't significant. And there is its one significant figure, 0.09. There's my one significant figure. And the last one we're going to look at together, 40.083 to 3 significant figures. Can catch people out this one after the last one. The 4 is the first significant figure. These zeros here are significant figures because they're in between other significant figures. Zeros that are in between other significant figures we do treat as significant figures. So the 4 is the first significant figure, this 0 is the second, and this 0 is the third. So that's the one we're rounding. The 8 is the decider, so this 0 is going to go up to a 1. This gets rounded off, and it's 40.1. That's rounding to decimal places and significant figures. Now have a go at the sheet.